One of Detroit's biggest private landlords is facing claims that he used predatory contracts to put families in dilapidated homes.
Through the years, his companies have racked up hundreds of blight tickets and hundreds of thousands of dollars in back taxes.
So why did city officials recently make them all go away? Here's 7 investigator Ross Jones.
From the road, the home on 3 Mile Drive was nice. But more important to Natalie and Jerome, it was theirs.
I just wanted to feel comfortable and at ease that I can turn a key and I'm walking into my own.
The first-time home buyers knew the brick home in Detroit wasn't perfect. It needed a boiler. Some of the doors on the house were missing, and there were cosmetic repairs needed too. But they said the company that sold them the house, Detroit Property Exchange, promised to fix all of it. A promise they now say was a lie.
So this is the biggest leak. Yeah, this is one of the biggest leaks here, yeah.
This hole in the dining room ceiling has been growing for years, just like the one in the upstairs bedroom. Most of the pipes, they learned, didn't work. They'd been filled with cement by the previous tenant, and that's when there were pipes.
And this is how we have to dump our water. The sink is not connected to anything.
There's no pipes.
There's no pipes at all.
And the boiler they say they were promised by Detroit Property Exchange never came. The couple and their children are about to start their 3rd winter in the home, relying on small space heaters to keep them warm.
That's a very hurtful feeling, to sit here and try to figure out how you're gonna warm up your house before your kids come home.
They purchased the home from Detroit Property Exchange, a company owned by Michael Kelly, one of the city's biggest landlords. And they did it through a land contract, a loosely regulated way to buy a house. Unlike a mortgage, there are no credit checks, no appraisals, and few rules. They're also, experts say, sometimes used to exploit inexperienced homebuyers. Natalie and Jerome agreed to buy the home for $25,900, paying it off over about 8 years. And with 10% interest, it brought the total price to about $37,000.
What if I told you that they bought it in 2015, a year before you agreed to buy it, for $12,000?
I'm not gonna say that on camera.
But the worst surprise came after they missed a payment. Even though they thought they were buying the home, they quickly found themselves facing a 30-day eviction as if they were just renters.
When they miss a payment, he doesn't treat them like they were buying a house, he treats them like a tenant.
Attorney Gerard Mantis represents Natalie and Jerome and scores of others in a class action suit against Detroit Property Exchange, who he says relies on confusion among its clients to make more money, having many sign both a lease agreement and a purchase agreement.
When he tells people you're buying a home, they're more likely to fix it up, to pay for things they wouldn't otherwise pay for, to pay a tax bill. Yet when they fall behind, he has an incentive to get them out of there as quickly as he can.
The process is confusing even to sophisticated buyers, especially when Detroit Property Exchange gives clients 1098 tax forms like these, showing how much interest they've paid towards their home. But the forms, Mantis says, are just for show. They're never even filed with the IRS.
For him to use a federal tax form to mislead people is very concerning and very egregious.
And I think in the case of Michael Kelly, what he's really savvy at is understanding how the law works.
Joshua Akers is an assistant professor at U of M Dearborn who studied the effects that speculators like Kelly have had on housing in Detroit. But despite all the displacement, blight violations, and back taxes that Kelly is responsible for, enforcement from the city, Akers says, has been lacking.
Despite various efforts within the city, it was very much a government that was incapacitated in doing any kind of enforcement at all.
And there's no better illustration of that, he says, than the deal the city made recently with Kelly just last spring.
We have assembled almost 215 acres.
When the city scrambled to find land for Fiat Chrysler to expand its assembly plant along Jefferson, they turned to Kelly, who owned some of the property the city needed. In exchange for Kelly's land, the city forgave more than $1 million in back taxes, penalties, and interest linked to Kelly and his affiliated companies. And more than 800 blight tickets, they were dismissed too.
Those homes? Those wouldn't pass inspection. You have also, sir, not paid your taxes for years.
We caught up with Kelly on his way into work last week after he declined an interview to ask about all the taxes that went unpaid. Kelly said he's just helping the city.
We were a vital part of that deal, and we're, again, helping Detroit.
Well, they seem to help you, sir. You didn't have to pay those taxes.
It's what we call a win-win.
Meanwhile, Natalie and Jerome are still making payments on the home they hope will one day be theirs, even with the holes in the ceiling, the pipes that don't work, and the boiler that never came.
I would ask Mike Kelly, are you comfortable? Why don't you switch houses with us for 24 hours to see what we go through? I bet you he'll say no.
While Natalie and Jerome say promised repairs never came to the home, their monthly payments were reduced last year from $550 a month to $450. In a statement, the city of Detroit defended its decision to release Michael Kelly and his entities from those back taxes and 800-plus blight violations, saying it was necessary to make the FCA deal possible and create nearly 5,000 new jobs. Through his lawyer, Michael Kelly declined to respond to our questions about the class action suit against him, other than saying the claims are untrue. I'm Ross Jones, 7 Action News.
Eye-opening report.
Yeah, makes you shake your head there.